That's the state of affairs. No classes, lecturers not in colleges, and students are being asked to go home. You know, I have covered so much of lecturer strike over the years. In fact, before I begin with my panel that I'll introduce, let me introduce them first. George Osanjo, he's a UASU National Trustee. Thank you, George, for coming. We have Wycliffe Kipsang, who is the president of Kenyatta University. And we have Cyprian Ombati, who is also a national trustee, UASU. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. I'll be speaking to them. But I've covered a lot of university strikes over the years. But even before covering university strikes, I have had my own share of strikes when I was in college. In fact, when I joined university in 2003, there was a strike towards the end and the beginning of 2004 that lasted some time. I was just telling them that I did first year in almost a year because of the strikes, because of the death of former vice president, and because we fought with our campus comrades at Moi University. So I have seen this strike. When I was in class 8, 2007, that's how old I am, there was a strike. When 1997, yes, there was a strike. When I was in Form 4 in 2001, there was a strike. When I joined university 2003, there was a strike. So strikes have characterized the whole of my adult life. But the question is, gentlemen, why are we still having lecturer strike? One of the things you told me is because you are treated last after everyone else. Now you are talking about the 2017-2021 CBA. Let's start from there.
Yes, indeed, Ken, thank you. As you have said, currently the lecturers are on strike and indeed all university workers on strike, pushing for the negotiation, signing, registration and implementation of the 2017-2021 CBA. Okay. This is a CBA that was supposed to be implemented on 1st July 2017. Okay. That is more than 10 months ago. And so now we are really late. In fact, we as a union pushed for the negotiation of this CBA as far back as March 2017. That's 1 year ago. Okay. The government came up with a number of excuses. Initially, they said we give them time, we gave them. When the time for implementation came in July 2017, there was an election in the offing. They asked for more time. We gave them up to December. They said December 18 will be a good day. But when we met on December 18th, they said, you know, Christmas is just like 1 week. Why don't we take it to January? And early January, we undertake to finish it by 31st of January. When we tried to meet in early January, they postponed it up to 19th January, and then the time was almost running out. When we met on the D-Day of 31st January 2018, when we were supposed to be given the counteroffer, they said, you know, we have a new minister in education, Ambassador Amina Mohamed. We have a new PS, Professor Michen Ntiba. Let's give them time. It appeared reasonable. They asked for 1 week. We gave them 2 weeks. And then they asked for another 2 weeks. So eventually we told them, look, really, the excuses are too many. Give us a counteroffer. We give you a strike notice. We gave a counteroffer. We gave them a strike notice. And during the strike notice, they never even approached us. Up to now, they have not given a counteroffer. And yet, we are already 5 weeks
into
the strike. What happens
if we reach July this year, 1 year later? What happens?
July, you know what's happening again? Mm-hmm. You know, even them, they said, we need to do this thing very fast because the budget for this year, we need to be considered in that budget. But now, they seem to be running down the clock. You've seen what Ambassador Amina Mohamed is saying. They are not saying when they'll give a counteroffer.
They're telling you to go back to class as they work on it.
Yes, but I tell you, there's one question that sometimes you need to put to her, and when you put it to different government agencies, you look at the response. That is, do you have a counteroffer for university workers?
I learned in my very basic law that a counteroffer is rejection of the first offer, so it vitiates that contract. Let me speak to Cyprian. Yes.
Thank you very much. I want to say that the reason why we are on strike is because IPUCCF failed to give us a counteroffer.
What is that in full?
That is Interpublic Universities Councils Consultative Forum.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the body of all councils, because in universities, our employers are respective councils. So they have a body with which negotiates with unions on our CBAs. So when we met, that was March last year, we gave them our proposal. They are supposed to give us a counter offer.
Okay.
So that now from this counter offer, you are invited to the table, you start negotiations and you thrash that deal and sign. But what happened is, when we gave them that proposal, as my friend has said, they have taken all this time. Up to date, they have not given us a counter offer.
Okay.
Today, our strike is on its 35 day. So for the last 35 days we are on strike, nobody has bothered even to give us a counter offer. We have not even reached a point of saying we want money. We are asking for a counter offer because we gave a proposal all the way last year. When you look at government, the major reason we are asking, and this is what we want even our viewers and even students to get, that in the public sector, we have public servants where university workers are part of them. They have paid doctors, they have paid nurses, they have paid civil servants, they have paid teachers. We are asking, why is it that university workers are the only ones who are left behind? Okay. And remember, last year, SRC advised the cabinet to set aside 100 billion shillings for implementation of 2017-21 CBS. So we are asking, where is our money as university workers? That is what we are undergoing. As we are speaking, other sectors have already started working on 2021-2025 CBS. And yet we are here being told that you go back to class, we will see what to do. If for the 35 days they have not been serious to give us a counter offer. So who is this who wants our students to suffer? Okay. It is the same government.
And this is the reason some universities are advising students to go home, because the end of the strike is not near. And that's where I bring Kipsang. You have been advised to tell you students, go home. And in one case, a university is quoted as telling the students to go home for 2 years because they don't know how long the strike will last.
I think first, to bring you to picture, as students we also feel underestimated by the government, because surely there have been 3 strikes in a row.
Between which year and what year?
Just between last year and this year.
Okay.
3 strikes in a row. I mean, a 54-day long strike that ended on 14th March. Another one that ended in December. The same for lecturers. And now another one which started on 28th February. And the doctor strike. Remember, the doctor strike affected also students from the colleges of health sciences. 100 days long strike. As we talk, our students from the School of Medicine were to finish their studies, to finish exams on 14th September this year from KU to start another semester, which is the first semester of 2018-2019. So you're looking at that student who has been wasted, a student from the School of Medicine first, even before we talk about the rest, who has been wasted for that time. Now we are here, we was to start a new semester in February. A new semester that was going to end in close to June. The government seems not to care at all. Now at the moment, the students are languishing. Others are idle. They are making babies. I mean, shortly we will be hearing a lot of deferment of semesters and academic years.
Because they're taking the maternity leave.
I mean, they have to take the leaves. Okay. What else are students doing now? Idle,
Are they in campus?
A few are in campus, others have gone home. Okay. Those whose parents have been hard on them come home. Others are still languishing around. Quite very, very unfortunate.
But why do you think the government is underestimating the students?
I would say first that attention is on other issues, which to us as students are non-issues. I mean...
But that doesn't make them non-issues. Because really, the government is concentrating on other issues, doesn't make those other issues non-issues.
To us now, how does Miguna saga, what has it to do with us? But every time, breaking news, Matiang'i, the president, the NASA leader, things are to do with Miguna's deportation and so on.
Did you hear what George explained about the reason why they had to postpone the meeting? Did you hear what he explained? He explained the reason why each time they called for a meeting, it was postponed and pushed forward.
They are very...
Because of political reasons, right?
Yeah.
So politics, if you dismiss them as not important, how would they hold their meetings?
We are not dismissing politics as not important.
Means they are not important.
To us as students now. How will Miguna saga bring us back to class?
But if the government does not have time to think of you because of Miguna, they have to sort it.
That tells you priorities. I mean, the university, higher education in Kenya now is going to the dogs.
Okay.
It is a total mess. And I don't know whether these people have, maybe their children are abroad and they are studying in private universities so that they don't feel this pinch.
What pains you the most as students?
What pains us the most is to take 6 years, 7 years to finish a 4-year course.
Okay.
to, you know, there's, even yourself when you finished school, you went to pursue career. When are we going to pursue that career? If we will graduate 7 years later with 3 children, graduating with 2 degrees.
I saw a joke on Facebook from one of the students who tweeted me actually directly, telling me you need to pay attention on the strike because we are becoming fossils in school.
Yeah.
That's
the thing. I mean, look at just a case study of a student from the School of Medicine.
Okay.
Who is supposed to...
Medicine takes 5 years?
6 years.
6 years, okay.
Yeah. And then 1 year of internship.
Internship, yes.
That's 10 years.
Okay.
And then someone taking education, after teaching practice, supposed to come for 4th year, there's no teaching practice because it's supposed to happen in May, on May. Which May are we talking about? The May that is 1 month away, a semester that started in February. That is
which is incomplete.
Which is incomplete.
Okay.
A quarter, not even a eighth.
Okay. Okay. Let me speak to your teachers.
I really empathize
with the students.
With the students.
Yes.
Because he's talked about medical students. Because I teach pharmacy students, medical students, dental students at the College of Health Sciences. And today, before I came here,
where are you based?
At the University of Nairobi.
Okay, yeah, right here. Okay.
Kenyatta National Hospital. Today, I actually passed through our college to see what's going on, to monitor, because we check. And the whole place is completely deserted. The lecture halls are deserted. There are no students. And we also have even no registrars. So this strike is even affecting the healthcare, because you know some of the postgraduate doctors give healthcare to patients who are really suffering right now. So it's a situation that's affecting everything. And we met with the lecturers, and you know, they were actually shocked by what Ambassador Amina Mohammed said yesterday. That just go back to class. You know, she's supposed to be diplomatic, but we wonder, is that's
diplomacy?
Giving a roadside declaration. Go back to class. We have been out of class and we are not giving clinical services, we are not doing research, and then she says, go back to class without giving a solution to the problem. When we met on March 14th with her, she said, this matter is now squarely with me. And this afternoon, I'm instituting a committee that is going to work on a counter offer for you people. And before long, you will have resolved the process. And yesterday now, she's taking a hardline stance. I think you have to see why.
That's only 21 days after you met.
Yes.
Only 21 days.
But she said, you know, like it was going to be within a week or so.
Okay.
And
she gave you the impression that it will be a week.
She was very optimistic. She said exactly that afternoon, March 14th, that she was meeting with a committee that was going to resolve this issue and give a counteroffer. Yesterday, she was giving a declaration that people should go back to work, but never mentioned a counteroffer. You know the starting point of all this, when is the counteroffer? That's why I said you should ask them when you meet them, do you have a counteroffer ready? And when are you giving? So that you resolve. That's the most viable solution to this crisis.
Cyprian, make me understand the content of the counteroffer. What would you ordinarily expect from a counteroffer?
Yeah, what we expect from our counteroffer is once we have given in a proposal, IPUCCF, which represents government, should be able also to come up with a counter offer. That is item by item, and that's what we are expecting. Okay. So that because we have a series of items in our CBA, item 1, 2, 3, they should be able to counter. Okay. By saying that on this one, this is our response.
Just tell us what you have on your intent, your memorandum, what you have.
Yeah, in our counter offer, we are having what we are calling, we want structured salary.
Structured salary.
Yeah, that is one of the main things we have there. Okay. This structured salary, what is there is that currently you find that the salaries in university are unstructured. They don't have a structure. You find that somebody who could be in a lower grade could be earning more than somebody who is above him in a grade. Okay. And normally that's not the case. It should be something like a staircase.
Progressive, yes.
That is progressing from grade 1 all the way to 15, which we have in universities. But currently we don't have that. And we have asked IPUCF that this time we want that to be structured so that there is also motivation. If you are in a lower grade, you will be motivated to move to a higher grade. But currently, as it is, somebody who is in a lower grade could be earning, for example, if we talk of lecturers, you could find somebody who is an assistant lecturer or a lecturer who is earning a salary of an associate professor. So that will not be motivating that lecturer to rise to be a professor, because he will say already I'm earning what a professor is earning. Yes. So that is what we want to deal with, so that there could be structure in our CBAs.
So that's just one.
Yeah,
what is the other
one.
Yeah. Structure.
The other one we have also, there is also house allowance. Those are what we are dealing with at the national level. Again, in our CBA, we have other issues which are non-monetary.
Okay.
We have talked on issues to do with the class sizes, where lecturers are teaching a lot of students. In a university, you have 1,000 students. There is no
In
way
a single class.
In a single class, there's no way you can communicate. You do an exam.
How is that even possible?
You are expected to mark those exams and submit them within 1 week or 2 weeks. Therefore, those things are not possible. When we look at the student ratio to lecturer ratio, it is very down. When you look at even staff in universities, you find that the ratio of those who are in non-teaching and academic staff is very low. So lecturers are overworked. What they do, all those things, we have them in our CBA. We have asked for things to do with our laboratories and equipments in universities, libraries where students are studying so that they can have better facilities at the universities. All those are the things we are asking. It's only that most people think that we are talking about maybe issues to do with money. No,
Okay.
it is beyond that. But IPUCCF is the one that telling us, let's talk about all the salaries.
All right,
Yeah.
gentlemen, we are continuing with our discussion. We want to talk more. We want to talk about the students, and we want to talk about the students' plight also, and we want to talk about the possible solution to this. All right. To national trustees, and we have Wycliffe Kipsang, who is the president of Kenyatta University, with me in studio, talking about the lecturer strike, and we'll be talking about a solution at the tail end of this discussion. But they're talking about a counter offer that the government is yet to give. But let's listen to the student once more. Kipsang, when you listen to your teachers talk about no counter offer, and yet this is the first point of discussion. They give their offer, they get a counter offer, then they go to the table. That has not happened. Strike is day 35. They've told you to go home. Is the 200 or is there a year estimation in you, guesstimation a short time? Because they haven't started speaking.
Of course, we are foreseeing a situation where the strike takes a longer time.
Okay. More than the 100 days the doctors took. That was 3 months,
I
10
would
days.
say more than 100 days. But of course, again, you know, there's no strike that has never been stated as lethal. All strikes have been seen to be very, very serious.
And mother of all.
And mother of all.
Yes.
However, the idea of students being told to go home, I mean, students have gone home already. And we are even, much as we are optimistic, day in, day out, the rate, the level of optimism goes down towards pessimism, because we cannot tell what next. Wanamijungu, consider students, you know, most students in universities, in public universities, are not accommodated from on campus. A good number of them live off campus.
Yes.
They pay rent. And rent is paid per semester. You know, just to bring
So when we have 4 months in the semester, you pay for the 4 months.
Yeah, and the rent is not a peanut. You know, you pay 15,000, 10,000 per month. That's around 30,000, 28 per semester. And then the tenants, I mean the landlords, do not care about your external affairs. I mean, the money should be there because you're living in the house and you're using facilities. And if you vacate, then I will want another client. So you will have to maintain the house. Now, the rent is going too high. We are almost in May. We started in January. 5th month, paying rent, no learning is taking place. I mean, the government has to look at this thing. And we feel as students, as the children of a lesser God, because no attention is given to this strike. Students are suffering. We are wondering whether the government and the leaders in offices now are going to come back in 2022 vying. We are wondering, because if you don't care the basic education, the children who are in school, then what is the plight? And if this counter offer has not been given, it tells you that negotiations have not even started. And if they have not started, what next? What is the future of the students? Help has given us the disbursement. Students have spent it. It's over. Learning has not even started. Where will we get funds to run the semester when the lecture strike, you know, comes to an end? Yeah, that's the whole picture. And we are wondering if the government is seeing this picture as it
But
is.
why do students assume that the government is not your parent? The government is not your lecturers and brothers to your lecturers and sisters and mothers to your lecturers. Fred Matiang'i, who's the Interior Cabinet Secretary, was in education. I bet during his time, 2015, there was a strike, right? Yes. Why are we assuming he was a lecturer? Why are we assuming the government is not listening to you?
We are not assuming. It's a fact. If the government was listening to us, it would have given lecturers a counter offer, and the staff were there and Kusu, and they should be back in class. We are not assuming, the government is not giving this issue the attention that it deserves.
So they are giving attention, but not the attention it deserves.
Let me say a miaka attention. Something that looks like attention.
Yes.
You know, an example.
Because they are listening,
Yeah.
they gave them dates, they sat on the 14th, right?
Yeah.
But there's no action, there's inaction. So they're listening, but not listening the way you would have expected as a
In
student.
fact, as student leaders, we had a meeting with the CS is it 3 weeks ago?
Okay. That's about the same time.
Yeah, when the lecturers when the strike just started.
21 days, that's
Yeah.
about the same time.
We tabled our issues in the ministry. She was with the PS. And funny enough, you know, she promised, she told us this issue is being handled at higher levels.
Okay.
You know,
It's
at
exactly
higher levels. I don't know which higher levels are these beyond Ambassador
than
Amina
her
Mohammed.
office.
And I think it's time Ambassador Amina Mohammed proves to be up to the task. Otherwise, we thought that now that she was very diplomatic in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, she was going to apply the diplomas like she had said or alluded in this ministry. But if she takes hardline stance, you know, we will be left wondering whether she's in the capacity to run this ministry.
All right, all right. Time to take a short break, and that's a good place to take the break because Amina Mohammed, the ambassador, says that they go back to class first and then they will have an opportunity to speak to them. What they're asking for is a counter offer first. They come to the table and then they can thrash out the other issues, which includes the structure, the house allowance, and other independent issues in some independent institutions. I have George Osanjo and Cyprian Ombati, who are WASU trustees, and I have Wycliffe Kipsang, who is the president of Kenyatta University. Stick around, we'll be coming back with the discussion. Right, welcome back to NTV Today. My name is Ken Mijungi. It's about 3 minutes past noon. This morning we are discussing the university staff strike. That includes lecturers and all other supporting strike. They were on the street yesterday. They went and met the Education Cabinet Secretary, Ambassador Amina Mohammed, who told them, go back to class, then we can talk. They say, no, it's not time to go back to class. In fact, the universities are advising the students who are still within campus to go home. They're not sure when the strike will end. In one extreme case, a university is quoted having advised the students to go home for about 2 years because that's how long they expect this strike will last. And I'm here in studio with George Osanjo and Cyprian Ombati. They are both trustees of WASU, and I have Wycliffe Kipsang, who is a student leader at the Kenyatta University, discussing this and how adversely it's affecting the universities. All right, so we are told there is no counter offer from the government, and we are told because there's no counter offer, they can't come back to the table and begin this discussion. So then, where are we? Let me begin with George once again. Where are we?
Yes, I think what is unfortunate here is that is the Minister of Education who is now taking a hardline stance. And I told you I met with lecturers in the morning, and this really has annoyed them, you know. And now even them, they're saying that they cannot go back to work if that is what the minister is saying. So here is the government that is really what the stand is taking is very shocking. The government seems not to be empathetic to the plight of the students. As the student has said, 5 weeks, you know, is a third of a semester. When you lose a third of a semester, nearly the whole semester is gone, and therefore that is destroying quality education. As my colleague has said, this CBA is also about quality education. It's about training human resources for this country. Yesterday even, for example, when the president was opening an eye clinic, a dental clinic, you also need to think about who is preparing this human resource. We are the ones who train these people. So even if you have infrastructure here, there's a human resource that goes with it. So if you don't have manpower, who will man those particular equipments? Who will give health care? You see? So I think it's time that the government really thought about this. They say that the priority is the Big Four agenda, yes, but education is the enabler of all this. Without education, without the universities, all these things cannot work, even for universal health care and other areas.
Let's bring back the discussion right here in studio. George Osanjo, Cyprian Ombati, and Wycliffe Kipsang is still with me in studio. Let me begin with Wycliffe once more here. Wycliffe, everything constant. We are on strike. Everything is happening right now. How does this affect the academic calendar? Do you go to school for more years? Do you do a crash program when you finally resume? What happens?
For one, is that even one day, distortion in a semester distorts the whole calendar. Like in Kenyatta University, when we start an academic year, there's a calendar for all the activities of the semester, the deadlines, the cards, submissions, everything for the whole academic year. So by a distortion of 54 days last year, it already affected us. We came for a very squeezed semester. Remember, there was the general elections again in August. So we had to squeeze the semester such that by 4th, every other programs, including the School of Medicine, is over for people to go for the election break. They went for the election break. We came back. Shortly by 31st October, another strike started. We went home. We came to continue with the semester in January. We finished that semester by around 9th February to start another one. A strike starts on 28th February, barely 2 weeks on session. Now we are out. It is 35 days gone. Now, we cannot tell it will end when. When it ends, already many programs have been distorted. Like I told you initially, the attachments are already pending, which were due in May towards June. There will be no attachment. There will be no teaching practice. There will be no clinicals for those who are in the School of Medicine. And remember again, those who were in the School of Medicine were to start a semester already to eat. They had eaten already into the first semester of next academic year. So 14th September. Now that is to say, they are already in November for a semester of another academic year, before they start another academic year. So the calendar is already disoriented. Even if we went for a crash, it will be hard to cover everything and cater for it already. So like I said, the higher education sector is going to dogs. I mean, we will take 2 years to cover 1 year. There was a scheduled graduation in July and September in KU and other universities. That graduation will not be there. I mean, the 2 graduations which were to happen will not happen. Who is graduating when we have not even started a semester? So that tells you that the calendar is disoriented already. And when the strike ends at an unprecedented time, a time we cannot project, even if we're going to mix up. Remember, we also have this institution-based program students. They will not be there. We have already, the Kenyatta University Senate yesterday made a decision to suspend this April session for the institution-based programs. They call school-based.
Yes,
They'll not be there. And this school-based only studied in December last year. They didn't study in April. Remember, there was a strike.
Yes.
And then the election break, they didn't come in August, only December. So the calendar is totally disoriented. We don't know where. You see that picture.
I advise we close the universities and just go home.
Then we do. What happens next?
We just close and just forget the higher learning institutions. So we do up to Form 4 and then we start doing some other things.
We cannot do that. How can we do that when we want degrees?
I know. I'm just poking fun out of something that is very serious, which is very unfortunate because I understand you. And we have the benefit, even the CS herself and the other CSs have gone through education and they understand how this affects. A simple thing, 2-week break affects the whole semester. All right, we hear you and it's loud and clear. Let me speak to your teachers. And Cyprian, talk to me about the other content that perhaps are silent in the things you're looking at in these memorandums in the CBA. For example, we have had concerns from lecturers blaming their institutions about the statutory deductions that every month you have to see them on your payslip, but they don't reflect in your circle. They don't reflect in the pension offices. They don't reflect anywhere.
Yeah, so we have a myriad of problems as university workers in public universities in this country. And like now, there are so many deductions that are done on our pay slips, which do not end at the point where they're supposed to go to. For example, we have like bank loans. In some universities, you get that loans are deducted. SACCO loans are deducted, but they are not remitted to the bank or to the SACCO. And that at the end of the day, you find that most of our university workers, lecturers included, have been listed, blacklisted in the CRB, Credit Reference Bureau.
Because they don't pay back.
Yeah, because they pay. You are deducted in your pay slip, but it's not remitted to the bank.
So where does the
or
money
to the
go?
SACCO. That is the question we are asking. That's why we want...
Have you attempted to find out?
Yeah, we have done even a petition to the CS, Amina Mohammed, so that she can make a follow-up on the same. But for the last 35 days, we have not heard anything from her. In fact, we are wondering, as university workers, we are asking that if it is possible, maybe if she's not fitting in that ministry, a reshuffle can be done so that we have a minister who can listen to us. Like you have heard my friend say, dear, the CS had time to meet students in the first few days of our strike. But she did not have time to meet union leaders. We went even to look for her so that we can have a one-on-one meeting. She didn't have time. Up to now, we have not met her one-on-one. So what you are saying is that we need somebody who can be able to take on and tackle this issue so that we can be able to have our loans being submitted to the banks. We have also pension. Deductions are made from pension from our pay slips. They don't end up to the pension schemes. Those who have retired from universities, when they want their dues, they don't find them. We have NHIF, NSSF. Deductions are also made. They are not remitted to where they are supposed to go to. So at the end of the day, what happens is that our workers in university, medically, when you move to various hospitals, you are just told, who are you, from where, from which university? No, we cannot attend to you. So those are the plight of problems that we are facing as university workers. And you find that to add salt to the wound, some universities, appointing cases, Masai Mara, have gone ahead to intimidate our staff by even bringing in police to brutalize our workers who are agitating for their rights.
But I thought when
we
you
are
talk
that
about
that is wrong.
action from a university, it's everyone in the university. So who are these who will do that? Because I believe you're fighting from top to bottom. Yes. So who are these who will bring policemen to intimidate?
Yeah, as I've said, like Masai Mara, it happened. Who brought what we want even viewers to know is that the vice chancellors,
the vice chancellors don't share in your plight.
Yeah, they may not, because you know them, they are in a different level.
Okay.
Their salaries are much, much more better. Yeah, most of them earn almost 10 times what a professor earns, and yet they are also professors. After their tenure, they come back to as professors. Even the other day, you saw that what they wanted was that they want to continue earning their 1 million plus salary after they have finished their work. And because of that, there is no way they will be able to feel what we are feeling when we tell them that as workers, this is what we are undergoing.
Okay.
So we are asking that let whoever is in charge, the Minister of Education, the PS and the CS, come in so that our workers in university can be able to get their due. We can only be able to go to work in a conducive environment. If you send me to go back to work, yet I know that the bank is asking for the loan that I took from that bank. Even if you tell me go to work, I not go back to work. You tell me to go back to work. Yesterday you hit me with a rungu. You're expecting me to limp to class. Those things cannot work in such an environment.
It's a very interesting environment, because I'm imagining the things you're talking about, like the statutory deductions. Yeah. They're done by the finance department, right?
Yes.
And they are the same people we see on this. I believe they're on the street also, because they're part of the university workers, right?
Yeah.
Why are they not doing their work?
It really is. It's a sad thing. I think, to add on what my colleague has said, the issue of pensions is really sad, because when they return pensions, I know of a professor of medicine, their pension, whose pension is 20,000 per month. He's elderly, his bills for health is totaling to more than 30 shillings per month. So already his healthcare bills is higher than his pension per month. We have cases of lecturers who wait in ambulances outside hospitals for more than 10, 12 hours. And because the hospitals are unable to admit them, because the universities are not providing letters of undertaking. And yet, you have the government right now holding pension money that is totaling to more than 4 billion for university workers that they have refused to remit. Equally, the medical schemes in the universities have collapsed. Literally, all of them have collapsed. And the university lecturers are unable to get medical attention. In fact, at KU, he's from KU, about a year ago, there's a lecturer who was found dead in the morning with scripts and a pen on his hand. He was working throughout the night. He had had a heart ailment. He was unable to seek medical attention because he was unable to afford. Lecturers and university workers today are scared of getting sick because they cannot afford healthcare. And it's sad that the university councils and government do not even want this issue to be discussed in the current 2017-2021 CBA. So, and if you compare across board with the civil service, most of the public servants, especially civil servants, now have enhanced NHIF cover. The universities have nothing. They want to discuss this, they don't want. So lecturers are really not motivated, they're demotivated. You have brain drain, people are beginning to migrate from the lecture halls, some to go to judiciary or even civil service for doctors. So we really have a very sad situation, and that's why we want this situation to be arrested. And indeed, I think if Amina Mohammed had listened to the student, she will really act very fast, because this situation is urgent. We have more than 600,000 students, more than 600,000 youth who are affected by this strike. And the president and the politicians said they care about the youth of this country, and therefore they need to act. This is a matter that is urgent. There's no need to take a hardline stance, because if they take a hardline stance, the lecturers may also take a hardline stance, because that is now what they are saying. They think that the government now, they were making promises, now they are backtracking. CS Amina Mohammed made a promise 2 weeks ago, now the tune is changing. So therefore, the lecturers also then are now saying, now we need actually now to intensify, paralyze, upscale this strike until the government also will budge. So we have a scenario where now the students are suffering, we don't like it, but it is the government who is not caring. You see as Amina Mohammed, who does not care. If she cared, then she will have brought the counter offer on the table. What's keeping her from bringing it?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, in addition to what my friend has said, I want to say that the many problems we have, even the time here may not allow us to finish them. But we want to ask the government that if they show seriousness in this matter, we'll be able to end this, go back and teach our students. We love doing our work. Even last year we had a series of strike, but we were able to take care of the lost time. And even now, we can assure our students that let them not be worried. We will know how we'll be able to recover the time that has been lost during this strike. I want to say that it is not very good when you find that, for example, I can tell you that my friend here, Kipsang, will graduate. He will be employed in this public sector where we are. And you may find that he will be earning more than us. So that's what lecturers are undergoing. The pay is too low, the work is too much. A student graduates from your university in November 2017. He is employed in the government by January 2018. His payslip of 31st January 2018 is more than his lecturer. In terms of academic, this lecturer has a PhD. He has a master's. He is a professor. But you find that if we are working in the same government, where salaries are distorted in such a way that, remember SRC when they came in, one work of SRC was harmonization. Meaning that if you are working in a public sector and you have some same qualification, I should not be tempted to move from university to go to work in the Ministry of Finance if I'm a lecturer in accounts, so that I earn more. They just look at your pay, you get the pay same as somebody who has the same qualification who is working in KRA, in finance and all that. But those things are not there. You find that lecturers are moving from university to other sectors because they know if you go there, you will get more. And the fun thing, when you move there, they now start saying that you are overqualified. We don't want you here. But somebody who is an undergraduate student from our university goes there, he earns more. They come back to university to visit us and they say, Mwalimu, I know I'm the one to buy you a soda because I know your pay is not good. So those are the things we are fighting for, the injustices, because it takes us long. For one to be a lecturer, it takes close to 10 years. For you to be a professor, you take almost 30 years to be called professor. And then you get that what is coming to you at the end of the month from the same government in comparison, we are not comparing private sector, in comparison to other workers in the
public sector,
you find that
much
it is
less.
something you don't like.
And that's not the only concern you have. I know, George, you also have the concern about some of the benefits that should accrue to lecturers, which currently you don't see some of them.
Yeah, it's true. There are a number of things. For example, the government introduced the car loan and housing mortgage scheme for civil servants. And right now, if one is a civil servant, they are able, through a scheme supported by the National Treasury, to purchase a house, affordable housing. But if you look at the universities have completely refused to fund the car loan and housing mortgage scheme. And this is one other thing that is really discriminatory. Right now, actually, the lecturers are moving from their accommodations. You know, at the University of Nairobi, our lecturers traditionally, they used to stay, they used to have even university housing, other housing in Kileleshwa and other places. But now, they have been priced out. They can no longer afford. Previous places where they used to afford, where they were housed, they are being pushed out. So we are asking who, the lecturers can no longer live here, but they used to live here. So it's a very sad scenario. If they were able to move from those places and then purchase houses like the civil servants can, that would be helpful. But this is again something we've talked to the university councils, we've talked to the CS Treasury Rotich, we've talked to CS Amina Mohammed, and they don't even want to listen to this. So there are really too many things happening at the universities. If you see that the university staff, really lecturers, walk on the streets, demonstrate and talk, it's because it's become too much. Okay. As my colleague has said, they are overworked and underpaid.
Okay.
Yeah, and this scenario should be corrected so that we go back to what we love, which is teaching, doing research, offering community service, and some of us healthcare.
All right, yes. and indeed, the students are now home. They have a relative who knows someone at the ministry. I mean, they can pass that message. I bet some of these people in the ministries, they have their children, have nephews and nieces. Perhaps they can pass the message. How bad this is. That's how to get the message to them if they're not listening to you. So I want to give you time, gentlemen, to close, and I'll begin with the junior, who is the student. As your closing remarks on the scenario, just in about a minute as we close.
As I close, I want to remind the government, I know several of them are watching, serious officials of the government. I want to remind them that there is a big four agenda. A promise that Jubilee government and Jubilee administration made during their campaigns. And I don't know whether they are big four and small four. Because if education is in another category of small four, then they should tell us. Because all children starting from nursery school are aiming at being at where we are, the university. If the university depicts high level of pessimism, what will be the hope of someone who is in Form 4 now, who dreams to be in the university? What will be the hope of these other junior children at the lower levels? So I want to tell the government to mean business. When they talk about the big four, let the big four be the big four. And the youth, we as the youth, we are not the children of a lesser God. We are also we make the biggest share of Kenyan population. And we are voters. They will come back to us in 2022. In fact, I'll be vying for senatorial seat in Baringo County in 2022. And I'll be on the neck of some of the people should we end there. I mean, we have to sort this mess for once. The government cannot be claiming to be serving the country when the children are in mess at the university level. I want to remind the government that. And lastly, I want to also remind the ministry that you cannot be the Ministry of Education without higher education. They cannot pretend that they did not come through this system. And if they came through this system and they care, the prime victim of the lecturer strike, Wasu, Gudea, and Kusu, are the students. When we talk about tools being down, it is saying when the doctors down the tools, the patients suffer. When the lecturers down the tools, it is the students, it's not them. Finally, they will sign a CBA and they come back to class. It is us who will suffer. It is us who will take long to graduate. Quite very unfortunate. And lastly is that court orders will not resolve this strike. I mean, which strike has even been legal in the first place? When I see people saying, go back to class because the strike is illegal, it is amusing. Which even the 100 days long doctor strike was illegal. In fact, Kina Omuga Oluga were jailed. I mean, it was illegal, but it happened, and a CBA was to be signed. The government should lower its ego for once and listen to the lecturers. I mean, as students, we are not supporting the government on this. I must say this in a national. We are with them because we know we will end up there in future. Okay. And if they fight, we will also benefit at the end of the day. So the government, listen to the lecturer strikes, resolve the stalemate, take us back to class.
Well said. Super.
Yeah, my closing remarks are to those who are viewing us, our stakeholders, the government, parents and students. We want to say that we don't love or like the strike, but we have been forced by circumstances to come to strike. We did all that we were supposed to do to our level best. We signed several return to work formulas, and you saw them. In fact, media, you have it. If you go to 9th of December 2017 and you play the return to work formula, you will see Professor Kanyari there reading to us that we have agreed with UASU that we are starting negotiations on 18th December and finishing them by 31st of January. Those were his own words from IPUCCF. And we signed an agreement which they have dishonored. What we are saying is that for us as UASU, we are honest in these dealings. That whatever we reach an agreement, we do that. We have been forced by circumstance to be on strike. Once the strike is over, we will be able to see how to compensate for the lost time for our students so that they cannot also suffer. We want finally to ask that as UASU or as university workers, we don't want to be treated as lesser citizens in this country. If you honor CBS for nurses, doctors, teachers, civil servants in our ministry, why not us? We don't want scenarios like the last one where we are paid towards the end of the cycle. Because a shilling today will be 10 cents tomorrow. The price of bread today will not be 21, in the year 21. So we don't want a scenario where we will be paid at the end of the cycle. Kindly government, do your bit, pay us our dues so that we are able to move and we'll be able to transform this country to grow to greater heights. Thank you.
Okay, and finally, George, speak to us.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to thank our students for supporting the lecturers' strike. We empathize with them, we are in with them, and at the end of this, we'll come back and teach them. This CBA is about quality education, quality university education. So once we have it, we are going to really increase the level of quality education in Kenya. There is only one viable path to resolving this crisis. This path is give the lecturers and university workers a counter-offer, negotiate it, sign, register it, and implement. That is what will resolve this crisis. If you don't do that, if you take a hardline stance, this strike will take as long as it will. So the government already knows what to do. They should do it earlier so that the suffering of students is eased.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. And of course, one thing that you forgot to add, all of you, is you need the goodwill, you know.
Yes.
Even when signing, you need the goodwill.
Yes.
It's just not a signing ceremony without implementation. So
Yes.
thank you very much, George Osanjo,
Yes.
Wycliffe Kipsang, and Cyprian Ombati. Thank you for coming, and all the best as you try and wade your way out of this stalemate that you currently find yourself in. But we understand, we have also brothers and sisters.
We thank you, Ken.
Thank you for coming. All right, that's one of the stories that you are guaranteed to find today in our updates and our bulletins. The lecturer strike, where to go next, and of course what they are saying. And today what the three gentlemen here are saying is, please talk to us, bring a counter offer, and they're ready to talk. Students go back to class, they're ready for that. And of course lecturers and other staff go back to work, they are ready for that.